Have you ever felt deep within the quiet chambers of your heart that despite every ounce of love, every tireless sacrifice you've poured into your child, a silent chasm has grown between you? That your efforts, your very essence, seem to be met with indifference or, worse, a profound lack of appreciation? It's a wound that often festers unseen, isn't it? A feeling of being invisible, of your boundless love going unacknowledged, like a gentle rain falling on parched earth, yet failing to nourish. Perhaps you found yourself staring at an empty chair at the dinner table, or scrolling through a phone, waiting for a call that never comes. The silence can be deafening, the indifference a cold shroud. You remember the innocent laughter, the tiny hands clinging to yours, the endless stories you read, the scraped knees you mended. And now, in this later chapter of life, that vibrant connection seems to have faded, replaced by a subtle yet unmistakable distance. You've given your past, your present, and a piece of your future to their well-being, only to feel as though your very presence is now perhaps a burden or simply irrelevant. This isn't just about a child's ingratitude. It's about the erosion of your own peace, the silent burden you carry when your love feels unreciprocated, like a cherished song played to an empty room. It's a pain that, if left unaddressed, can slowly diminish the very joy, the very light of your golden years, leaving a lingering question in the quiet moments of reflection. Did I do something wrong? Have I failed? This poignant ache, this silent question of why, is far more common than you might imagine, touching the lives of countless mothers and indeed fathers, leaving a hollow space where warmth and connection once thrived. But allow me to offer a different lens, a profound perspective passed down through millennia, a wisdom forged in the crucible of human experience, designed to illuminate the path forward not just for them, but for you. The true source of our disquiet often lies not merely in their actions, but in the tempest those actions stir within our own souls. The swirling frustrations, the gnawing resentment, the quiet whisper of perceived failure that chips away at our inner peace. Yet, amidst this emotional landscape, there is a path to serenity, an ancient wisdom that speaks directly to these modern heartaches. From the profound insights of timeless Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, we uncover powerful keys to reclaim our inner peace, to untether our emotional well-being from the shifting tides of others' behaviors, and to cultivate a tranquility that remains unyielding, untouched by external storms. Imagine finding a quiet harbor in the midst of life's most turbulent seas, a place within yourself where calm prevails, no matter how chaotic the waves around you. This is the promise of Stoicism, not a philosophy of cold detachment, but a profound guide to living with resilience, wisdom, and an unshakable inner calm. In the upcoming lessons, we will delve deep into the heart of these challenges, exploring how to navigate the complex emotions that arise when love seems to go unappreciated. We'll learn to differentiate between what we can control and what we must bravely accept, to set healthy boundaries that honor both ourselves and our loved ones, and to find validation not in the fleeting approval of others, but in the unwavering strength of our own character. This journey is about empowering you, about giving you the tools to safeguard your emotional landscape, allowing you to live with grace, dignity, and a profound sense of inner peace, regardless of the external circumstances. If you are seeking to fortify your mind, to cultivate a deeper sense of inner peace, and to discover lasting happiness amidst life's inevitable trials, then I wholeheartedly invite you to join our community. Subscribe to the Stoic Philosophy on YouTube right now and click the notification bell. By doing so, you'll gain access to a continuous stream of videos designed to empower your mind, soothe your spirit, and guide you towards a life of profound strength and enduring tranquility. Don't miss out on this opportunity to arm your mind with wisdom that transcends time. Stick with us as we begin to explore how to overcome this pain and reclaim absolute control of your emotional life. Let's begin. The challenge is tangible, isn't it? It's etched into the quiet moments of daily life, into the fabric of what once was, and what now feels profoundly different. It's the unanswered calls that leave a faint echo in an empty room, the fleeting visits that feel more like obligations than genuine connections, and the pervasive sense that a lifetime of unwavering devotion seems to vanish into thin air, unacknowledged and unappreciated. We, as parents, often find ourselves grappling with this subtle, yet deeply painful shift. We ask ourselves, with a heavy heart, when did this subtle shift occur? Why do they not see the depth of my commitment, the sacrifices etched into every fiber of my being, the countless choices made solely for their well-being? It's as if a once vibrant garden has slowly faded, its colors muted, its blossoms sparse. Perhaps you vividly recall the boundless energy you poured into their childhood, the early mornings, the late nights, the countless school projects, the endless rides to sports practices or music lessons. You were their unwavering champion, their safe harbor, their first and most fervent admirer. Every decision, every penny saved, every personal dream deferred was often for their sake, woven into the very tapestry of their growth and development. You meticulously prepared their favorite meals, listened patiently to their teenage woes, celebrated their smallest triumphs, and offered solace during their deepest disappointments. You believed with every fiber of your being that this profound investment of self, this unconditional love, would naturally blossom into a lasting bond of mutual respect, gratitude, and reciprocal affection. Yet now, in this later chapter of life, a disconcerting distance often emerges. It's not always a dramatic confrontation, but a gradual, almost imperceptible drifting apart. It might manifest as a child who rarely initiates contact, who seems too busy for a meaningful conversation, or who dismisses your advice with a wave of the hand, as if your accumulated wisdom holds no value. They might prioritize friends, careers, or their own burgeoning families, which is, of course, a natural progression of life. But for the parent who has given so much, it can feel like a profound disavowal of all that has been poured out. The simple thank you becomes rare, the thoughtful gesture absent, and the empathetic understanding seemingly lost in translation. This absence isn't just about a child's perceived ingratitude. It's about the insidious erosion of your own hard-won peace. It's the silent burden you carry when your deepest, most authentic love feels consistently unreciprocated, like whispering secrets to the wind, hoping they might somehow reach a distant shore. This experience can ignite a deeply unsettling internal conflict. You might find yourself cycling through emotions of frustration, confusion, and even a quiet, gnawing resentment. There's the sense of unfairness. After everything I've done, how can they treat me this way? There's the sting of disappointment, the ache of unfulfilled expectations, and beneath it all, a subtle whisper of self-doubt might creep in. Was I not good enough? Did I fail them somewhere along the way? These emotions, unaddressed, can become a corrosive force, slowly diminishing the very joy, the very light of your golden years. They can overshadow other beautiful aspects of your life, painting even the brightest days with a subtle shade of melancholy. You might feel a sense of loneliness even when surrounded by others, because the specific connection you yearn for, the one with your child, feels fractured or diminished. The challenge, therefore, is multifaceted. It's not just about understanding why a child might seem ungrateful or disrespectful, though that is certainly a part of our exploration. More crucially, It's about understanding what this behavior triggers within us and how we can regain control over our own emotional responses. How do we navigate these turbulent waters without losing ourselves in the process, without allowing the actions of another, even our own child, to dictate our inner peace and contentment? How do we find a way to honor our past sacrifices and enduring love, while simultaneously safeguarding our present well-being and cultivating a serene path forward? This isn't merely a parenting dilemma. It's a profound existential question about how we, as individuals, choose to experience and respond to the most intimate and often the most emotionally charged relationships in our lives. The weight of this problem can feel immense, like a heavy cloak draped over one's shoulders, but recognizing it, truly seeing it for what it is the first courageous step towards lifting that burden. The journey inward, unveiling Stoic paths to peace, as we confront the profound and often painful challenge of strained relationships with our children, particularly when feelings of ingratitude or disrespect arise. The path forward can seem obscured by a thick fog of emotion. We yearn for connection, for recognition, for the simple warmth of familial love, yet often find ourselves adrift in a sea of unspoken expectations and unfulfilled desires. The instinct is often to look outward, to try and change their behavior, to seek their acknowledgement. But true transformation, as the ancient Stoics meticulously taught, begins not with external manipulation, but with an unwavering gaze inward. It begins with understanding ourselves, our reactions, and the profound power we possess over our own inner world. In this crucial section, we will embark on a transformative journey, delving into 5 powerful Stoic principles that offer not just coping mechanisms, but genuine pathways to liberation and lasting serenity. These aren't abstract theories, they are practical, time-tested tools for reshaping your perception, mastering your emotional responses, and reclaiming your peace, regardless of the turbulent currents swirling around you. Each principle acts as a beacon, guiding us away from the shores of resentment and disappointment, and towards the calm, clear waters of self-mastery and profound contentment. We will learn to dissect the nature of our attachments, confront the illusion of control over others, recognize the inherent value of our own actions, independent of external validation, understand the profound wisdom in letting go, and ultimately cultivate an unshakable inner citadel of emotional resilience. This is a journey of self-discovery, of reclaiming your inherent power, and of choosing peace even when circumstances seem to conspire against it. Prepare to shift your perspective, to embrace a liberating mindset, and to forge an inner strength that no external force can diminish. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Control. Releasing the grip on what isn't yours. Have you ever found yourself caught in a relentless cycle of trying to steer your child's life, even as an adult? Of offering unsolicited advice, agonizing over their choices, or feeling personally responsible for their happiness and success? It's a natural, almost instinctual impulse born of deep parental love. We see pitfalls, we envision better paths, and we believe, with every fiber of our being, that if only they would listen, if only they would choose differently, their lives, and perhaps our own peace of mind, would be far smoother. This fervent desire to control, to meticulously orchestrate outcomes for those we love most, is often the very root of our deepest frustrations and heartaches, when they inevitably diverge from our carefully laid plans. Here, the Stoics offer one of their most foundational and profoundly liberating insights: the dichotomy of control. Epictetus, a former slave who rose to become one of the most influential Stoic teachers, articulated this principle with crystal clarity. Some things are within our control, while others are not. Within our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever are our own actions. Outside our control, our body, property, reputation, command, and, in a word, whatever are not our own actions. This isn't a call to indifference. It's a radical invitation to focus our precious energy solely on what is truly within our power. Your child's thoughts, their choices, their emotional responses, their life path, these profoundly belong to them. They are outside your control. You can advise, you can support, you can love unconditionally, but you cannot dictate. Imagine trying to catch the wind in a net, or trying to stop the flow of a mighty river with your bare hands. Such efforts would be futile, exhausting, and ultimately heartbreaking. Similarly, attempting to control the independent will and choices of another adult, even your own child, is a battle destined for frustration. When we cling desperately to the notion that we must change their mind, must make them see things our way, or must ensure their gratitude, we are, in essence, trying to control the uncontrollable. This futile struggle depletes our emotional reserves, fuels resentment, and paradoxically, can push the very person we wish to influence further away. They may sense your desire to control and react with resistance, even if your intentions are rooted in love. Consider the story of David, a loving father who had tirelessly guided his son, Mark, through every major life decision, from choosing a college major to career paths. David believed he knew what was best for Mark's financial stability and future happiness. When Mark, in his late 20s, decided to pursue a passion project that seemed financially risky and unconventional, David was consumed by anxiety. He called Mark daily, offering unsolicited business advice, criticizing his decisions, and expressing his profound disappointment. Mark, in turn, began to avoid his father's calls, feeling suffocated and disrespected. David's pain wasn't just about Mark's choices. It was about his own inability to control Mark's life, to make him conform to David's vision of success. He was trying to steer a boat from a different shore, exhausting himself and inadvertently damaging the very relationship he cherished. The more David tried to exert control, the more Mark pulled away, creating a wider chasm of misunderstanding. The Stoic path here is one of profound self-liberation. It means recognizing that your child's decisions, even those you disagree with or fear, are ultimately their responsibility, not yours. Your peace does not and should not depend on them making choices that align with your expectations. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, often reminded himself of this very principle. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This isn't about apathy or uncaring. It's about a wise allocation of your emotional energy. Instead of pouring your emotional capital into the uncontrollable, redirect it towards what you can control: your own thoughts, your own reactions, and your own internal state. How do you practically apply this? Begin by consciously observing your thoughts. When you find yourself obsessing over your child's choices or feeling a surge of frustration because they aren't living up to your ideal, pause. Acknowledge the thought, but then gently remind yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, then intentionally release that thought. Imagine it as a cloud drifting across the sky. Observe it, but don't try to grasp it. This takes practice, much like strengthening a muscle. Over time, you'll find yourself less reactive, less prone to internal turmoil when your child makes decisions that deviate from your preferences. Furthermore, practicing amor fati, or love of fate, can be incredibly powerful. This doesn't mean passively accepting undesirable outcomes, but rather embracing everything that happens as an opportunity for growth and as an unalterable part of the universal order. When your child makes a choice that causes you concern, instead of fighting against it internally, consider it simply as what is. This acceptance, again, is not approval, but a recognition of reality. From this place of acceptance, you can then thoughtfully consider your response, which is within your control. Can you offer support without judgment? Can you express your concerns calmly, without demanding a specific outcome? Can you cultivate compassion for their journey, even if it's different from what you envisioned? By releasing the desperate need to control your child's life, you paradoxically create more space for genuine connection. When they feel truly seen and respected as autonomous individuals, free from your attempts to dictate their path, they may, ironically, be more inclined to open up, to seek your counsel, and to share their lives more freely. You are not abandoning them. You are granting them the dignity of their own journey, and in doing so, you are liberating yourself from the chains of unnecessary suffering. Your profound love for them remains, but it transforms from a possessive grip into a liberating embrace, allowing both of you to breathe more freely. This shift is not easy, but it is one of the most profound acts of self-care and wisdom you can undertake as a parent entering this new phase of life. It's about understanding that your worth and your happiness are not contingent on their choices, but on your unwavering commitment to your own inner peace. Chapter 2. The Inner Citadel. Building your unshakable core of self-worth. One of the most insidious pains a parent can experience, particularly a mother, often stems from a deep-seated vulnerability, allowing our self-worth to become inextricably tied to our child's approval, their perceived gratitude, or their demonstrations of affection. When a child seems distant, ungrateful, or disrespectful, it can feel like a direct assault on our very identity, shaking the foundations of who we believe ourselves to be. We begin to question our value as a parent, our sacrifices, and even our fundamental goodness. If they don't appreciate me, does that mean I wasn't enough? This unspoken query, lingering in the quiet corners of our minds, becomes a corrosive force, chipping away at our inner strength and leaving us vulnerable to every slight, every moment of perceived indifference. Here, Stoicism invites us to construct what Marcus Aurelius eloquently called the inner citadel, an unshakable fortress of the mind, impervious to external judgments and the shifting sands of others' opinions. The core teaching is this: true worth, lasting value, does not reside in external validation, whether it comes from our children, our peers, or society at large. It emanates from within, from our character, our principles, and our unwavering commitment to virtue. Epictetus powerfully asserted, "No man is free who is not master of himself." In this context, being master of oneself means refusing to grant others the power to determine your self-esteem. Imagine for a moment that your sense of worth is like a magnificent house. If you build that house on the shifting sands of your child's approval, it will be vulnerable to every storm of their behavior. If they praise you, the house stands tall. If they ignore you, it crumbles. But if you build your house on the solid bedrock of your own virtues, your integrity, your compassion, your resilience, your wisdom, then no external force, no perceived ingratitude, no dismissive word can ever truly shake its foundations. This is the profound difference between externally dependent worth and intrinsically cultivated worth. Consider the story of Eleanor, a retired teacher who had devoted her life to her 3 children. She took immense pride in their accomplishments, viewing their successes as a direct reflection of her efforts. However, her middle son, a brilliant but emotionally reserved man, rarely expressed overt gratitude or affection. Eleanor, despite her accomplishments and loving nature, often felt a deep emptiness, a sense that she wasn't truly valued. She would constantly seek his approval, interpreting his quiet nature as a lack of appreciation for her. Her internal monologue was filled with self-reproach. I must not have taught him enough about gratitude. Perhaps I wasn't a good enough mother. This pervasive feeling of unworthiness, tied to her son's reactions, overshadowed her golden years, preventing her from fully enjoying her own passions and achievements. Eleanor was unknowingly granting her son the power to dictate her self-worth. The Stoic path offers a radical alternative. Reclaim your intrinsic worth. Your value as a human being and as a mother does not diminish because your child does not express gratitude in the way you expect, or because they choose a path different from yours. Your value is inherent. It stems from your own virtuous actions, your own intentional choices, and your own unwavering commitment to love, even when love is challenging. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If your thoughts are constantly seeking external validation, then your happiness will always be precarious. But if your thoughts are focused on cultivating your own character, on acting in alignment with your deepest values, then your happiness becomes an internal wellspring, unpolluted by external circumstances. Practically, how do you cultivate this inner citadel? First, begin by consciously separating your actions from their reactions. You acted out of love, out of duty, out of genuine care. Those actions in themselves are worthy. Their response, or lack thereof, is their action, not yours. It doesn't negate the goodness of what you did. Second, engage in self-reflection. What virtues do you truly embody? Are you compassionate, resilient, patient, resourceful? Focus on these internal qualities that are entirely within your control. Celebrate them. Acknowledge your own strength and integrity, independent of how others perceive it. Third, engage in activities that genuinely nourish your soul and reinforce your sense of self. Completely separate from your role as a parent. Rediscover hobbies, learn something new, connect with friends who uplift you, or engage in community service where your efforts are directly seen and appreciated. These activities build a sense of purpose and competence that are internally derived, creating a robust foundation for your self-worth. Seneca wisely taught, "A man is rich according to what he is, not according to what he has." Extend this to your sense of self. Your richness comes from who you are, not from what you receive from others. Ultimately, building your inner citadel means understanding that you are a complete, worthy individual, with or without your child's explicit acknowledgement. It means cultivating a robust, self-sufficient sense of esteem that allows you to give love freely without the crippling expectation of a precise return. When you cease to demand external validation, you liberate yourself from emotional dependency and, paradoxically, create a healthier, more authentic space for connection. Your child may or may not change their behavior, but your peace will no longer be held hostage to their actions. You become the unwavering lighthouse, shining brightly regardless of the storms outside, because your light comes from within. This is not selfish. It is self-preservation, and it is the foundation for a truly serene and dignified life. Chapter 3. The Art of Disentanglement. Untangling your emotions from their choices. As parents, our lives become deeply interwoven with those of our children from the very moment they enter the world. We celebrate their triumphs as our own, and we feel their sorrows with a profound, almost visceral empathy. This deep emotional connection is beautiful, a testament to the boundless love of a parent. However, this very depth of connection can, at times, become a double-edged sword, leading to immense suffering when our children make choices we disagree with, or when their actions cause us pain. We often find ourselves in a constant state of emotional reactivity, our inner peace rising and falling with every perceived slight, every perceived misstep, every decision that deviates from our hopes for them. The inability to separate our own emotional well-being from their independent choices can leave us feeling perpetually vulnerable, perpetually agitated, and deeply entangled in a drama that is not entirely ours to control. This is precisely where the Stoic art of emotional disentanglement becomes not just a philosophical concept, but a vital life skill. It's about recognizing the critical distinction between empathy and entanglement. We can care deeply, we can offer support, and we can even grieve for their struggles without allowing their choices to dictate our internal state of being. Epictetus, with his profound simplicity, once stated, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it, that matters." This timeless truth holds immense power in the context of family relationships. Your child's choices are theirs. Your emotional response to those choices is yours. And in that crucial space between stimulus and response lies your freedom. Imagine your emotional state as a perfectly still lake. When your child makes choices you approve of, the lake is calm. But when they make choices you dislike or that cause you distress, you allow their action to throw a stone into your lake, creating ripples of anxiety, frustration, or sadness that disturb your peace. Emotional disentanglement is the practice of consciously choosing not to allow their stones to create such disturbances in your lake. It means observing their choices, acknowledging your feelings, but refusing to permit those feelings to hijack your inner tranquility. Consider the poignant example of Sarah, a mother deeply distressed by her adult daughter, Emily's, decision to move across the country for a job opportunity that Sarah deemed unstable and isolating. Sarah loved Emily dearly and feared for her well-being. However, instead of simply expressing her concerns and then respecting Emily's autonomy, Sarah became emotionally entangled. She spent sleepless nights worrying, called Emily constantly with anxious questions, and expressed her disappointment to other family members. Sarah's emotional state became a direct reflection of her daughter's professional choices. Every perceived struggle Emily faced, every difficult phone call, sent Sarah spiraling into anxiety and despair. Emily, in turn, began to feel stifled and guilty, making it harder for her to share her life with her mother. Sarah was, unknowingly, allowing Emily's choices to control her own emotional landscape. The Stoic path here is not one of coldness or indifference. It is rather a profound act of self-preservation and wise emotional management. It begins with the courageous act of recognizing that you can love your child fiercely, offer support genuinely, and still maintain your own emotional boundaries. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, frequently reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Applied to this situation, it means recognizing that while you cannot control Emily's job, location, or feelings, you can control your own response to those realities. Practically, how do you achieve this disentanglement? First, cultivate the practice of mindful observation. When a situation with your child triggers a strong emotional response, pause. Notice the feeling, anger, sadness, fear. Acknowledge it without judgment. Then gently ask yourself, is this emotion serving me? Am I letting something outside my control dictate my inner peace? This brief pause creates a crucial gap between stimulus and reaction, allowing you to choose your response. Second, reinforce your sphere of influence. Continuously remind yourself of the dichotomy of control. You can influence, you can suggest, you can support, but you cannot compel or control. When you find yourself wanting to control their choices, consciously redirect that energy towards what you can control: your own thoughts, your own actions, your own pursuit of virtue and peace. This redirection is a powerful act of emotional discipline. Third, engage in negative visualization, not to dwell on negativity, but to prepare yourself. Mentally rehearse how you will respond with equanimity if your child makes a choice you find difficult. If they choose a partner you dislike or make a financial decision you deem unwise, visualize yourself reacting with calm, maintaining your own peace and responding from a place of considered wisdom rather than immediate emotional reactivity. This mental rehearsal builds resilience. Finally, consciously nurture your own sources of joy and fulfillment that are entirely independent of your child's life. Invest in your hobbies, your friendships, your community, your personal growth. The more robust your own internal world, the less susceptible you will be to emotional turbulence originating from external relationships. This isn't about neglecting your child. It's about making sure your own cup is full so you can continue to pour from a place of strength, not depletion. By consciously practicing emotional disentanglement, you not only protect your own peace, but also foster a healthier, more authentic relationship with your child. When they no longer feel responsible for your emotional well-being or burdened by your anxiety over their choices, they may feel more liberated to be themselves and, paradoxically, more inclined to connect with you on their own terms. You remain a loving parent, but one who stands firm, a beacon of calm in their lives, rather than a ship tossed about by their every wave. This is true freedom for both of you. Chapter 4. The Virtue of Generosity. Giving without expectation, loving without condition. As mothers, the very essence of our being often feels defined by the act of giving. From the moment of conception, we embark on a journey of selfless dedication, sacrificing sleep, time, personal aspirations, and boundless energy, all poured into the nurturing and growth of our children. This is a profound, beautiful truth of parenthood. Our love is often unconditional, extended without reservation. Yet, over time, this very generosity can subtly shift, morphing into an unspoken, often unconscious expectation of return. We give, and then we wait, sometimes with quiet anticipation, for gratitude, for recognition, for reciprocation in specific forms, a phone call, a visit, a gesture of appreciation. When this expected return doesn't materialize, the sting of feeling unappreciated can be profound, turning the very act of giving into a source of bitterness and resentment. We begin to feel that our selfless acts have created an emotional debt that our children owe us, transforming love into a transaction. Here, Stoicism offers a radical yet incredibly liberating perspective on true generosity, the profound virtue of giving without expectation and loving without condition. It challenges us to examine the purity of our intentions. Are we giving solely for the sake of giving, or are we secretly attaching strings, hoping for a specific outcome or acknowledgement? Marcus Aurelius, in his personal reflections, often reminded himself, the best way to avenge yourself is to not be like him. While seemingly about revenge, it carries a deeper message about self-mastery and purity of action. If we give with a hidden agenda of expectation, we are not truly giving freely. We are engaging in a subtle form of emotional bargaining, which inevitably leads to disappointment when the payment does not arrive. Imagine planting a seed, nurturing it with water and sunlight, and then constantly checking the ground, demanding to see a specific flower bloom on a specific day. If it doesn't, do you feel angry at the seed or at yourself for having specific expectations of nature? True generosity, in the Stoic sense, is akin to planting that seed and providing nourishment because it is the right thing to do, because it aligns with your nature to nurture, without dictating the exact bloom or the timing of its appearance. It means performing virtuous acts of love, support, and sacrifice, because they align with your principles, not because they guarantee a reciprocal reward from another. Consider the story of Michael, a father who had invested heavily in his son, Tom's, education and early career. Michael often spoke of his sacrifices, of the opportunities he gave up for Tom. He expected Tom to demonstrate profound gratitude, perhaps by staying close to home or by seeking his advice on every major decision. When Tom, now a successful adult, chose to move abroad for a new job and started a family without consulting Michael, a deep resentment festered in Michael's heart. He felt Tom was ungrateful, that he owed Michael more frequent visits and more deference. Michael's constant veiled criticisms and expressions of disappointment drove Tom further away, creating a strained relationship where love felt burdened by obligation. Michael's generosity, though genuine at its core, had become conditional, creating an emotional debt that Tom could never truly repay. The Stoic path to liberation here lies in detaching the act of giving from the expectation of receiving. Epictetus taught, "We are not disturbed by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens." Our suffering arises not from the fact that our child isn't expressing gratitude as we wish, but from our internal belief that they should be, and that their lack of gratitude diminishes our own efforts or value. When we give out of a virtuous disposition, out of pure love, compassion, and a sense of duty, then the act of giving itself is the reward. The satisfaction comes from aligning with our own highest principles, from knowing we did what was right. Practically, how do you cultivate this liberating form of generosity? First, consciously examine your intentions. Before you offer help, support, or a gift, pause and ask yourself, am I doing this because it aligns with my values, or because I secretly expect something in return? If you find an expectation lurking, try to gently release it. Give purely for the joy of giving, for the fulfillment of your own virtuous nature. Second, practice radical acceptance of the outcome. Once you have given, release your grip on how it should be received or what the recipient should do in response. Their reaction is their own, outside your control. Your peace resides in the integrity of your own action. This doesn't mean allowing yourself to be exploited. It means giving thoughtfully, from a place of strength, and then detaching from the outcome. If your child genuinely disrespects or takes advantage, that's a separate issue of boundaries which we've discussed. But the core principle here is about the purity of your giving. Third, find satisfaction in the act of being virtuous. Seneca, in his Letters from a Stoic, frequently emphasized that the wise person finds contentment in simply doing what is right, without needing applause or external validation. Your worth as a parent is not determined by the amount of gratitude you receive, but by the love and effort you genuinely extended. Recognize that intrinsic reward. Finally, consciously redirect any feelings of resentment back to their source, your unmet expectations. Once you identify that pain stems from what you expected them to do, rather than what they did or didn't do, you can begin to dismantle that expectation. By choosing to give freely without an attached invoice for gratitude, you liberate your child from the burden of emotional debt, and most importantly, you liberate yourself from the corrosive chains of bitterness. This transformation allows your love to flow purely, unencumbered by conditions, fostering a healthier, more authentic connection that is rooted in freedom, not obligation. It is a profound act of self-love that empowers you to experience the true joy of giving, untainted by the shadow of disappointment. Chapter 5. The Gift of Perspective. Reframe their actions. Reclaim your peace. When our children's actions cause us pain, whether through perceived ingratitude, disrespect, or indifference, our minds often jump to immediate, emotionally charged interpretations. We might instantly label them as ungrateful, selfish, or cold, and these labels, while perhaps feeling accurate in the moment, can solidify into rigid judgments that poison our hearts and erect formidable barriers between us. This knee-jerk reaction, this immediate rush to judgment, is a common human tendency. Yet it is often the very force that robs us of our peace. Our suffering isn't solely caused by their behavior, but by our interpretation of that behavior, by the narrative we construct around it. Here, Stoicism offers a powerful antidote, the gift of perspective, or the practice of objectivity. It invites us to pause, to step back from our immediate emotional reactions, and to reframe their actions through a wider, more compassionate, and ultimately, more rational lens. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, constantly reminded himself to strip away the anecdote, to look at an event or action without the overlay of personal emotional judgments or assumptions about intent. He urged himself to see things as they truly are, free from the coloring of his own biases or expectations. This isn't about excusing hurtful behavior, but about understanding it in a way that allows you to maintain your internal equilibrium. Imagine for a moment that you are watching a play. If you become deeply immersed in the emotions of the characters, you might feel their anger, their sadness, their frustration. But if you step back and view it as an observer, you can appreciate the narrative, understand the characters' motivations, and recognize that it is a performance, not your own reality. Similarly, with your child's actions, the Stoic invitation is to observe, to seek understanding, and to separate the action itself from your immediate, often painful interpretation of it. What might seem like deliberate disrespect from your viewpoint could, from their perspective, be a result of stress, misunderstanding, or even their own unresolved struggles. Consider the story of Catherine, a mother who felt profoundly hurt because her son, Robert, rarely called her and seemed disinterested in her life. Catherine immediately interpreted this as a lack of love, as ingratitude for all her sacrifices. She told herself, "He doesn't care about me. All I did for him means nothing." This narrative caused her immense pain and resentment. However, after engaging in Stoic reflection, Catherine decided to reframe. She observed Robert's life. He was a young, struggling entrepreneur, working long hours, trying to keep his fledgling business afloat and grappling with his own anxieties. While his lack of communication was hurtful, Catherine began to consider it not as deliberate disrespect, but as a symptom of his overwhelming stress and perhaps his own emotional immaturity in managing his time and relationships. He might simply be overwhelmed, not uncaring. This reframe didn't instantly change Robert's behavior, but it profoundly changed Catherine's reaction to it. Her intense personal pain transformed into a more nuanced understanding, allowing her to feel less hurt and more compassion. The practical application of this gift of perspective is multifaceted. First, practice cognitive reframing. When you feel a surge of negative emotion about your child's behavior, identify the specific thought or interpretation that is fueling that emotion. For example, instead of "he's so ungrateful," try "he is currently not expressing gratitude in a way I recognize." This subtle shift removes the personal attack and allows for more objectivity. Then consciously seek alternative explanations for their behavior that are not necessarily malicious or intentionally hurtful. Could they be stressed, overwhelmed, dealing with their own personal struggles you're unaware of? Are they simply wired differently, less expressive than you are? Second, engage in empathetic imagining. Try to step into their shoes, even for a moment. What might their world look like right now? What pressures might they be facing? This exercise isn't about excusing bad behavior, but about broadening your understanding, which often leads to a decrease in your own emotional reactivity. It shifts the internal dialogue from "how could they do this to me?" to "what might be driving their behavior?" Third, cultivate the view from above. This Stoic exercise involves imagining yourself looking down on the situation from a great height, as if from the cosmos. From this vast perspective, personal slights and emotional dramas often shrink in significance. It helps to depersonalize the situation and see it as part of the larger, indifferent flow of life. This detachment allows for clearer, more rational thought. Finally, remember that your child's actions, like all external events, are indifference in the Stoic sense. They are morally neutral until you assign a value to them. While their actions might be painful, the suffering you experience often comes from your judgment of those actions, not the actions themselves. By consciously choosing to examine and reframe your judgments, you reclaim your power. You don't have to agree with their choices or tolerate genuine disrespect, but you can choose to respond from a place of calm wisdom rather than reactive pain. This gift of perspective liberates you from the tyranny of your own interpretations, allowing you to find peace even when the world and your relationships don't conform to your deepest desires. It's about seeing clearly, choosing wisely, and preserving your own invaluable serenity. The sovereign choice, reclaiming your inner kingdom. We have journeyed through the intricate landscape of parental love and the often painful reality of unreciprocated affection or perceived disrespect. We've examined the subtle chains of unspoken expectations, the burden of emotional debt, the vital importance of boundaries, the liberating act of ceasing to seek external validation, and the profound gift of reframing our perspective. Now, as we stand at the precipice of understanding, we arrive at the very heart of Stoic wisdom, the pivotal moment of transformation, the sovereign choice to reclaim your inner kingdom. This is the climax, the key moment, not of an external battle, but of an internal revolution. It's the moment you realize that the most significant battle is not fought with your children, nor with the world outside your window. It is fought and won within the quiet sanctuary of your own heart and mind. The true victory, the ultimate liberation, lies not in changing them, not in forcing their gratitude or demanding their respect, but in profoundly transforming yourself, your perception, your responses, your unwavering commitment to your own peace. Imagine, if you will, being the monarch of your own vast inner kingdom. For too long, perhaps, you've allowed external forces, the shifting moods of your children, their choices, their perceived slights, to act as invaders, plundering your peace and disrupting your serenity. You've granted them undue power, unconsciously surrendering the keys to your emotional well-being. But in this climactic moment of realization, you understand that you are the undisputed sovereign of your own soul. No one, not even the most beloved child, has the inherent right or power to dictate your happiness, your worth, or your inner tranquility unless you willingly grant them that authority. This is the moment you choose, with unwavering conviction, to embrace your own sovereignty, to understand that their journey, with all its joys and sorrows, its triumphs and missteps, is entirely their own, and your peace, your serenity, your inherent value is unequivocally yours to command. It is a profound act of self-love, a declaration of emotional independence. It is the decisive moment you choose to untether your happiness from external dependencies and anchor it firmly within the unshakable bedrock of your own virtue and wisdom. Consider the profound shift this entails. Instead of constantly looking outward for validation or a change in their behavior to feel at ease, you turn inward. You recognize that the only true and lasting control you possess is over your own judgments, your own desires, your own aversions, and your own actions. When a challenging situation arises with your child, the immediate, almost instinctual reaction might be pain, frustration, or anger. But in this newfound sovereignty, you pause. You acknowledge the feeling, but you then choose your response. Do you allow the storm outside to rage within your inner kingdom, Or do you stand firm, a lighthouse unwavering against the gale, knowing that your light comes from within? This is the moment you decide that your happiness will not be a hostage to external circumstances, but a sacred fortress built upon the bedrock of your own inner strength and wisdom. It's the realization that you have meticulously cultivated your character, poured out boundless love, and acted from a place of genuine goodwill. That, in itself, is enough. The outcome, the reaction of others, is a matter of fate beyond your dominion. Your responsibility is to your own virtue, to your own peace. This doesn't mean becoming cold or uncaring. On the contrary, it means loving from a position of strength, not desperation. It means giving freely, without the crippling expectation of a precise return. It means allowing your children the dignity of their own choices and their own growth, even if that growth is painful or bewildering to witness. By reclaiming your inner kingdom, you are not abandoning your child. You are, paradoxically, becoming a stronger, more resilient parent, capable of offering genuine support without being consumed by emotional entanglement. The climax of this Stoic journey is living the truth of Seneca's timeless wisdom. No man is free who is not master of himself. You become the master of your own emotional destiny. You choose peace, you choose serenity, you choose to live with dignity and grace, knowing that your worth is inherent, your efforts are virtuous, and your emotional well-being is a treasure to be guarded fiercely, not handed over to the whims of others. This is your personal declaration of independence, a profound act of self-liberation that redefines your life, transforming moments of potential sorrow into opportunities for profound inner strength. Conclusion: the path to enduring serenity. As our journey through Stoic wisdom draws to a close, we return to the core of what we've uncovered, a powerful and liberating truth about navigating the complexities of parental love and the often painful reality of unreciprocated affection or perceived disrespect from our children. We began by acknowledging the subtle yet pervasive ache that arises when our boundless love seems to meet with indifference. We then meticulously explored the insidious nature of unmet expectations, recognizing how our hidden blueprints for how things should be are often the architects of our deepest suffering. We peeled back the layers to reveal the quiet burden of emotional debt, understanding that love given with the expectation of return subtly transforms into a transaction, eroding genuine connection. We emphasized the vital importance of establishing clear, compassionate boundaries, not as a means of control, but as an act of self-respect that ultimately teaches others how to treat us. Our exploration further led us to the profoundly liberating act of ceasing to seek recognition from those who cannot give it, understanding that true worth emanates from within, not from external validation. We then recognized that emotional independence is our greatest strength, an unshakable core that allows us to find peace regardless of external circumstances. We embraced the art of accepting what you cannot change, acknowledging that fighting against what is beyond our control only invites suffering. And finally, we arrived at the conscious, empowering choice to cultivate serenity over the corrosive grip of resentment, understanding that our internal state is always within our power to choose. These are not mere philosophical concepts to be pondered in quiet solitude. They are powerful, practical pathways to a life of profound inner peace, even amidst the most intricate and emotionally charged relationships. By diligently embracing and applying these timeless Stoic principles, you free yourself not just from the immediate sting of pain and disappointment, but you liberate yourself to truly live with dignity, with grace, and with an unshakable sense of self that is impervious to the shifting tides of external opinion. Your peace, your happiness, your well-being rests firmly in your own hands. Your journey continues. If the timeless wisdom we've shared today has resonated with you, if it's offered a glimmer of understanding or ignited a flicker of hope for reclaiming your inner peace, then your journey with Stoic philosophy is just beginning. This video is but one beacon guiding you toward a life of greater tranquility and strength. Our channel, The Stoic Philosophy, is dedicated to providing continuous guidance, practical insights, and profound reflections that empower you to navigate life's challenges with unwavering wisdom and grace. Don't let this newfound clarity fade. I wholeheartedly invite you to explore the other videos on our channel, where we delve deeper into specific Stoic exercises, tackle various life dilemmas through a philosophical lens, and offer timeless strategies for cultivating resilience, self-mastery, and enduring happiness. Each video is crafted to be a supportive companion on your path to a more serene and fulfilling existence. To ensure you never miss out on these valuable insights and to truly strengthen your mind with the wisdom of the ages, please subscribe to The Stoic Philosophy on YouTube right now and click that notification bell. By joining our growing community, you become part of a collective committed to living thoughtfully, purposefully, and peacefully. Thank you for dedicating your precious time to watch this video. Your willingness to seek wisdom and cultivate your inner world is a testament to your strength. May your journey be filled with profound clarity, unshakable peace, and a deepening sense of joy. Go forth and live wisely.
Thank you for watching this video here on The Stoic Philosophy. If you found value in this, I invite you to explore more videos on the channel. There's so much more wisdom to uncover. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next one. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.